Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the Disney Dining Show. I'm your host, Pete Werner, joined at the table this week by my good friends Charles Boda.
Hello.
And Mr. Steve Porter.
Hello.
Now, we mentioned recently on, I think it was our Tuesday show, that we were noticing a lot of comments on disboards.com about Ohana. People complaining about really long waits, people complaining about rude service, people complaining about the food being bad, and that really distressed me because I've, especially recently, really have come to love Ohana. There was a time where the food was not that great, and it was all kind of hit or miss. So we decided to go and check it out and take a look at, how it is and see what we thought. And I just want to give a shout out to our friends Kevin and Josh, who a couple of listeners who joined us for this review. Hey guys, but let's start out. This is considered a buffet, but you never actually get up from your table. Servers come around with skewers of food. For your main course, it's sweet and sour chicken, sirloin steak, Szechuan sirloin steak, and a spicy grilled peel and eat shrimp. All of these done over an oak fire grill. At first, they put down pineapple coconut bread and mixed green salad with a lilikoi dressing. It's like a vinaigrette. For your appetizers, then they put down pork dumplings tossed in a ginger garlic sauce. And they include a peanut and a sweet and sour dipping sauce along with that, as well as honey coriander chicken wings. And that's your appetizer. Then comes the main course. They also put out noodles tossed in a teriyaki sauce with stir-fried vegetables. And, I kind of said that all together in one thing because that's pretty much the experience we had. This was a very fast meal. Mm-hmm. This was a very fast meal. Literally, our reservation was at 8:20 p.m., and I live about 35, 40 minutes, depending on traffic, away from the Polynesian, and I was home in my house at 10:20 p.m. So that is really the only thing I'm going to knock this place for. We were seated right away. Mm-hmm. We did not wait to get seated. Let's start with the appetizers, the pork dumplings and the chicken wings. What were your guys' takes on those?
Well, first I'd like to start with the bread.
Okay.
As far as the food here was concerned, the bread was one of those things where, a lot of people mention, oh, you have to get the bread or anything. I thought the bread was underwhelming. It wasn't bad. But
really? I thought it was great.
To me, it was. And that's the thing. This might just be a personal thing with me. Because I've heard people comment about it a lot, that you have to get the bread and make sure.
Yeah, it's really good bread.
I didn't dislike it at all, but I didn't think it was that much of a big deal. Sometimes if bread service is really good, I will have to avoid eating as much as possible before my meal. This wasn't that kind of bread. But when the appetizers came in, the pork dumplings were the standout for me. I love dumplings. I will go through an entire day eating only dumpling-like foods, like raviolis and pierogies and like Asian dumplings and stuff. These dumplings were good. They were crispy. The ground pork was well seasoned inside of them, and I could have done with just a thing of the dumplings myself, and I would have been fine. The chicken wings were good, and that came with noodles as well for the appetizer, right? And I liked those. So the other two were very good, but the dumplings were a standout for me. I really enjoyed them.
Well, what I noticed, I love the bread. I thought the bread was great, but when you first come in, the hostess kind of explains the restaurant to you and walks you past where the bread, it's kind of like an open area where the bread is, and there were 5 adult men. And she takes one thing of bread on a plate, which is really 3 pieces.
And it's slightly larger than a Hot Pocket. It's not a big piece of bread.
It's not big at all. And I looked at her and I said, there are 5 of us. We're going to need more bread. To which she's like, oh, of course. And she put another one on there. But that was like, okay.
And the bread has like, I don't want to say like perforations, but it's got little lines down it to where it looks like it could be split into 3 parts too.
Yeah.
So
unless we were going to do a Jesus routine and feed everybody on, one loaf. So that, but minor thing. But I love the bread.
Yeah.
I love the bread, and I agree with Charles. I thought the dumplings, normally I prefer steamed
me too,
dumplings over fried, but these were really good. And those honey coriander chicken. Why can't I pronounce coriander today? Chicken wings were phenomenal. I mean, and really didn't need sauce for the. I didn't need sauce for the pot stickers.
I don't think I
dumplings.
used sauce at all. I don't think I even was aware that it existed. I just ate them.
That was on it was there on the table.
I have the exact opposite problem that you were just talking about with the bread. Is I like it so much that I could have had like 3 loaves. So I love the bread. I think the dumplings are delicious. The noodles were great. The only thing that is like super minor, and it's like just my luck, was that I really like the flat wings, not the drumsticks.
See, I prefer the drumsticks.
And we didn't get that many of the flat ones, so that was just a minor thing. That
The
was
wings,
just,
you mean?
or wings? Yeah. So that was just a minor thing that was just unlucky for me. It's not like they're like, Steve's coming, let's give him all the drumsticks.
Yeah. And there is, and this is just me being neurotic, but other people exist in the world who are neurotic. If I eat wings or if I eat anything with my hands, I need to wash them immediately. And like wet naps are not provided after each course. So like you might have to run to the restroom a couple times to wash your hands between courses if you're one of those people who doesn't
But if you
like
ask them, they will bring you wet naps. Yeah.
But if you don't like sticky fingers, then just give them a nod and say that you'd like something.
Our coconut bread, our salad, and our appetizers were all put down on the table pretty much at the same time. And before we were done with our appetizers, around comes the main course. Now, I'm talking about maybe 15 minutes into when we got seated here. So this was not, there's no lounging around here. There's no, kind of taking it easy. That being said, I don't do shrimp, so I just had the chicken and the steak. Excellent. I mean, the chicken was really flavorful, and it was Rhino's favorite word, moist.
Succulent.
So it was not at all dry. Which, when you do them over an oak fire grill, it's not really hard to dry out chicken,
Especially in mass quantities too.
and especially when you're cooking this many of them. Exactly. Same with the sirloin steak. It was really tender, perfectly seasoned. Everything was hot. Everything was good.
The steak wasn't well done either, which was going to be my worry. But
It was a
for the
medium.
It was a decent medium to where somebody like me who likes rare is going to enjoy it, but I think somebody who likes more well food could get by with it too. It was nice and juicy and it was tender. I do like shrimp, and that was the one out of the 3 which didn't really. I mean, it was all right. It wasn't bad, but it was not impressive. But the chicken, I think, was the standout, most impressive, because it's. Grilled chicken might seem easy, but it gets dried out a lot. And I think I had like maybe 4 pieces. The guy brings a skewer and asks you, like how many you want at the time. And it's like one round where you just guess how hungry you are, and he puts them down. I think out of the 4 pieces, I had one little end tip that was a little dry. Everything else was like surprisingly very, very nice and moist.
I thought the steak was my favorite, followed close by the chicken. I agree the shrimp was a little bit further down. We've kind of addressed on this a little bit in how quick the service was, but in every other time I've ever been to Ohana, they then came back 2 or 3 times after to say, did you have enough steak? And oh no, I would like 2 more pieces, and they would give you more. They showed up once and they were gone.
No, they came back a second time, didn't they?
No, they did not, and I was kind of waiting for that.
Yeah.
Because I didn't eat all day before we went there. And I eat quickly, and anybody who's eaten with me, I eat quickly and I eat abundantly. Like 1 time a day, I get it all in. And even for the rapid rate that I eat, like this was happening very quick to where like I kind of like let me get 2 words into my compatriots here really before I have to shovel some more food in. So yeah, it happens. The food is good, but it's really fast paced.
And because of that, because I've had the experience where they've come around multiple times, I just assumed that was going to be the case again. And so I under order when they say like how many pieces do you want, so I can kind of try different things and see if it's still made the same way. And
Also, you could have asked them. You could have said, "Hey, I want more chicken."
I didn't. Well, I could have asked the first time, but then after they left, I didn't see them again
Till dessert. Yeah.
and it wasn't the same guy. It was like a different person that brought us
right,
the dessert.
yeah.
So unless I'm going to be the person that calls, which I could have done, and they probably would have brought it over, but it just felt weird that I would have had to do that at a place that's supposed to have good service like Ohana.
Well, again, my feeling throughout the whole thing was that they really wanted me out of there.
Yeah.
There was, I mean, I will say the server was very nice, very friendly, but it was absolutely get in, get out.
I was trying to take a photo, and don't get me wrong, I understand how frustrating this is for staff when we're there and like we're trying to take a picture. But when he's coming in with the skewers, I was desperately trying to get like a usable photo there. And as he was pulling one of the skewers away, I think it was during the chicken course, like I could hear him giggling as like a yoink, and then off on his way before I was like able to capture it. Like it was a very much rush like job kind of thing. He was polite but not the kind of like talk with you for a second polite. It was just like smile and what do you want and I'm leaving now. Like
this and that, that's the only ding I'm going to give them, but it's a big ding. It's a big ding. It knocks about 3 or 4 points off my rating for this place, because you're talking about a price point depending between $35 and $60 a person for this dinner.
Sorry, I just had to butt in because it made me laugh. The name of the restaurant's Ohana. It's family, and it's just ironic that it's the one place where you don't feel like you're part of the family because they are just trying to get you in and kick you out.
Yeah.
So.
And I don't ever remember the experience there being quite that rushed. And it was funny because we ran into some listeners a few times on the way into the restaurant who had just eaten there. And they all said, yeah, the food was really good, but boy, were they in a hurry. So this is part of it.
And that's also to keep in mind, if you're planning on eating there and you want the fireworks on in the background, like keep in mind that like you're probably not going to be sitting there and enjoying your meal and then waiting around for like 15 or 20 minutes like you might at other places where you can watch them. Like if you're scheduling time for the fireworks, I think they stopped serving during the show. But
they lower the lights and they pipe the music in so they can't have the servers walking around.
Yeah, but before and after that, especially because they're going on, I think it's even more of a rush mentality. So
Craig's got me thinking about this whole family aspect. And not only do you not feel like a family with the cast members, but also it doesn't give a great opportunity to have a family meal with people because you're constantly having food shoved in your face. And then once you're done with that, you have more food. And part of the dining experience is you don't want to wait super long for your food, but kind of going down to a sit-down restaurant and being able to talk and have a great conversation. And we had a great conversation, but it was much shorter than it would have been if it was a full, if there was time in between each serving.
I'm going to be honest that, I thought it was a buffet going in. This had been my first time at Ohana. And I would have been more comfortable, and I find buffets stressful occasionally, but I would have been more comfortable going in and filling up my plate with this stuff and then sitting down and actually being able to have like a relaxed, non-rushed conversation, especially at that price point, with the people that I'm with. That's one thing that I don't like is it's not just the rushed eating, but that feeling of get in, get out detracts from the attitude that you want to have if you're there with people spending money and you want to sit and converse.
So then for dessert, they do a bread pudding a la mode with the vanilla ice cream on top with the bananas and caramel sauce, which was out of this world.
Yeah,
it was so good.
Amazing.
I'm not typically a dessert guy, and Oh, geez. Yeah, it was great. It was really, really good.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm not a dessert guy either. 100% agree. They kind of just put it in front of you and you can't resist because it looks so good. They put the sauce, they like drizzled on top. Oh, so good.
And the texture and consistency of the bread pudding is sold. Don't get me wrong, the sauce is great and the ice cream is great and everything, but just the bread pudding alone, just it had this like a certain amount of like firmness. It wasn't like cooked to the point where it was gelatinous and stuff, but it was still like I tender. I don't know if you can use the term tender for pastry or dessert or something like that, but yeah, it was a joy to eat.
Yeah, it was. No, delicious. I mean, food-wise, the food was excellent.
Knocked it out of the park.
Food was absolutely excellent. And service-wise, in terms of the demeanor of everybody we interacted with, everyone was really friendly and very happy. The big complaint here is that you are absolutely rushed through this meal. And what I would suggest is that you insist that they slow down. If I go back there again, as soon as I sit down, I'm going to say, I do not want to be rushed through this meal until I am done with my salad. Do not bring my appetizers. Until I am done with my appetizers, do not start bringing around the skewers. And when you do start bringing around the skewers, make sure you come back more than once.
Well, and we had actually talked about this in previous dining shows, that Disney does go a little bit at a faster pace than you're used to, and sometimes that's actually a good thing when you're in the theme parks and you're ready to go on your next fast pass or you're trying to do other things. But this is resort dining. And it's supposed to be at the end of the night at one of the like most loved restaurants in all of Walt Disney World, and there's no excuse for it to be rushed.
Now, the big tip, though, if you are staying at the Polynesian, is that you can order from Ohana in room service, and that's an experience everyone should have at least once.
Do they knock on your door like every 45 seconds with like more shrimp?
No, they bring like enough. Like if you say, oh, I've got 4 people. They bring enough like extras for 4 people. I remember I think it was the 10th anniversary of the show, I'd gotten a bungalow for the night, and I had a whole bunch of people over, and I ordered food from Ohana for everyone that was there. I forgot how many, like 15 people. And the amount of food that showed up, the amount that was left over the next day, I was begging people, please take this with you. But all of us were, staying on site for the 10th anniversary, so we couldn't. But so a lot of it got thrown out, unfortunately. But that is one option too. So scale of 1 to 10, Steve, what do you give Ohana?
It's hard because you're right. The food would have been like a 9 or 10, but I think with everything and feeling as rushed as we were, I'm gonna say it's hard. Like maybe a 6.5 or 7. I'll say 7 because the food is great, and that's the problem that they have can be fixed easily. So,
yeah. Charles,
I'm going for 6. I think you know what, the food is great, but it's not spectacular, mind blowing. I'll never have a meal like this again in my life. Great, and which means there's no excuse to like make somebody. I feel uncomfortable when I'm rushed, and which means that I can't enjoy myself, which means that regardless of how good your food is, I'm not having a good time if I feel that your primary goal is to get me out of your establishment. So like that huge points off, and yeah, you get a 6.
So one other point I want to make also is that they're apparently not doing the entertainment that they used to do. That they used to have either a guy or a girl walking around with a ukulele singing songs. As much as that annoyed me when they were doing it, I missed it the other night. I missed it. And I'm going to split the difference between the two of you, and I'm going to say 6.5. They are getting huge points off for the rush job. And it's a shame because the food really is good. But be mindful, again, this was just a snapshot of our experience. As the case with any of these reviews, don't base your decision solely on what we're saying. Do your research, make the decision that's right for you. But right now, there are a lot of complaints out there about food service, wait times to get seated around Ohana. We did not experience any of that. What we experienced was just kind of being rushed through our meal. And when you're paying this much money, you want to kind of enjoy it. So there it is. That's our review of Ohana at the Polynesian. We hope you enjoyed it, and we'll be back with you again next week with another episode of the Disney Dining Show. Have a great week, everybody.